The night was frozen and cruel. Snow fell across the dead battlefield like a white shroud, covering broken weapons and silent bodies. The wind howled through the wreckage of burned machines, carrying the smell of smoke and blood. A lone human soldier walked slowly, his rifle ready, his boots crunching in the ice. He was tired. His muscles ached. His eyes burned from lack of sleep. The war between humans and the alien race had lasted for years, and this place was only one more graveyard among thousands. Still, he walked carefully. In war, even silence could hide danger. Then he heard it. A sound, soft and weak. At first he thought it was the wind, but then it came again, a voice, a whisper. "Don't kill me." The soldier froze. His heart jumped. He turned his head, scanning the ruins. Shadows stretched long across the snow. Nothing moved, yet the voice was real. He tightened his grip on the rifle. Again the voice came, clearer now, trembling in the cold air. "Don't kill me, human." Slowly, carefully, he followed the sound. His boots sank into the snow, leaving deep prints behind. The battlefield was silent except for the crunch of his steps and the low moan of the wind. Finally, behind the burned remains of a transport ship, he saw her. An alien. She was on her knees, her body shaking. Her armor was cracked and broken, smeared with blood. A long cut ran across her side. Her skin, pale blue under the moonlight, glowed faintly as if the cold itself was eating her alive. Her black eyes lifted to him, wide with fear. The soldier raised his rifle. His finger rested on the trigger. He hated them. These were the killers of his friends, the hunters of his people. He remembered screams, burning cities, falling ships. And yet, here she was, not fierce, not proud, not strong, only broken. The Liao. Alien bowed her head low, pressing her hands together. She spoke again, voice cracking like thin ice. "Please don't kill me. I will warm your bed." The soldier blinked. Did he hear her correctly? Warm his bed? Was this some alien trick? He stepped closer, his rifle steady, his eyes sharp. "What did you say?" he asked, his voice low and rough. She lifted her head, lips trembling. "Don't kill me, human. I will keep you warm. Bed. I will warm your bed." The soldier's mind raced. He had heard of alien spies, of traps meant to lure soldiers into lowering their guard. Was this one of them? Yet her face showed no deception, only raw desperation. He studied her closely. Her breath came out in white clouds, weak and shallow. She was freezing. She wasn't trying to seduce him, he realized. She was begging for survival, offering the only thing she thought might save her. The wind grew stronger, throwing snow between them like a curtain. His finger twitched on the trigger. He could end it now. One shot, and another enemy would be gone. Safer for him, safer for his people. But then her knees slipped, and she fell forward into the snow. She groaned, too weak to rise. Her body shook violently. The soldier cursed under his breath. Why should he care? Why not leave her here to die? She was the enemy. She deserved no mercy. But still, something inside him hesitated. Her voice, though faint, reached him again. "Don't kill me. Please." The snow swirled around them, covering her form like a burial cloth. The human soldier stood above her, torn between hate and pity, revenge and something else he could not name. His rifle trembled in his hands. Could he shoot? Someone kneeling? Someone broken? He knelt slightly, enough to look her in the eyes. They were large, black, and shining with tears. He had never seen an alien cry before. For a moment, the battlefield was silent. Only the wind spoke, carrying that strange tension between them. The soldier lowered his weapon a little, not fully, not safely, but enough to show he was thinking. "Why should I trust you?" he asked coldly. The alien coughed, blood staining. The snow beneath her lips, her voice was almost gone. "No choice, my people. Kill me if I go back. You kill me if I stay. Please, let me live." Her body shook again, weaker now, as if the cold would soon take her away forever. The soldiers stood there, the storm growing wilder around them. His mind screamed at him, "She is the enemy. She is dangerous. End this." And yet his heart, against all reason, whispered something else. She is alive. She is begging. She is afraid. At last he made his choice. He swung the rifle behind his back and stepped forward. Roughly, he grabbed her arms and pulled her up to her knees. She was lighter than he expected, fragile. She gasped at his touch, too weak to fight. "Get up," he growled. "You're coming with me. Try anything and I'll end you." Her black eyes widened. Slowly, she nodded. "Yes, human. I obey." The soldier dragged her to her feet, keeping a firm hold on her. The storm howled louder, swallowing the battlefield in endless white. Together, human and alien stepped into the frozen night. Hunter and prey, enemy and enemy, bound by a strange, fragile thread of survival. But in his chest, the soldier felt the unease of a dangerous question. Had he saved a helpless creature, or just welcomed a deadly trap into his life? The wind screamed like a beast as the soldier pushed forward through the storm, dragging the alien by her bound wrists. Her steps were slow, uneven, like someone walking inside a dream. More than once she stumbled, her knees hitting the hard snow. Each time she fell, he yanked her back up, his jaw clenched with anger and unease. He hated that he had chosen this path. Every part of him screamed that it was wrong. She was an enemy, a killer, one of those who had burned his world and left ashes behind. He should have ended her back there. He should have left her to freeze in the storm like the others. Yet here she was, walking beside him, barely alive, weak, trembling. The soldier kept his rifle slung across his back, but his free hand never left the knife on his belt. He would not be tricked. If she tried anything at all, he would not hesitate. His thoughts repeated this like a shield. She is not your friend. She is not human. She is only alive because you chose to let her live, for now. Still, something about her silence gnawed at him. She did not curse, did not threaten, did not even beg anymore. She simply walked, her head bowed, the snow clinging to her broken armor like a burial shroud. Finally, after an hour of trudging through ice and smoke, he pulled her into the shelter of a ruined outpost. The walls were cracked, the roof half collapsed, but it was enough to keep out the worst of the storm. He pushed her down onto the frozen ground. "Sit," he ordered. She obeyed, folding her legs under her like a child. Her eyes stayed low, never daring to meet his. The soldier crouched a few feet away, keeping the knife in his hand. He studied her closely, watching for tricks. But she only shivered, her breath leaving weak clouds in the cold air. After a long silence, he spoke. "Why did you say that? About warming my bed?" Her head tilted, confusion flickering in her dark eyes. "Warm, human word. I learn. Not trick. Not lie." "Then what did you mean?" His voice was sharp, hard. She hesitated, biting her lip before answering. "Cold kills. I give heat. I offer life for life." Her words were clumsy, broken, but the meaning was clear. She had not been offering seduction. She had been offering survival. The soldier grunted. He wanted to laugh at the absurdity. An alien warrior, kneeling in the snow, offering her warmth like some desperate barter. Yet the seriousness in her voice stopped him. He leaned closer, narrowing his eyes. "Why should I believe you? You could be lying. You could be waiting to kill me the moment I sleep." At this, she lifted her head slowly. Her black eyes finally met his, and he saw something there he did not expect. Not hatred, not trickery, but exhaustion. Fear. "If I wanted you dead," she whispered, "you would be dead. My blade was near you when you found me. But I did not strike." The soldier stiffened. His hand tightened on the knife. But she did not move. She only lowered her gaze again as if ashamed. The outpost was silent except for the whistle of wind through broken walls. The soldier's mind spun. Her words made sense. If she had the strength to attack, she would have. Instead, she begged. and still begged. Even now she waited for his judgment, trembling like a bird caught in a storm. He cursed under his breath again. He hated this feeling, this doubt. Finally, he tied her hands tighter with a strip of torn cloth. "You stay alive only because I allow it," he said. "The moment you try anything, you die. Understand?" She nodded weakly. "Yes." "Human. I understand." For the first time, her voice carried no pleading, no trick, only simple acceptance. The soldier leaned against the cracked wall, his knife still in his hand. He told himself he would not sleep tonight. He would watch her every move. He would not allow weakness. But as the hours passed, the storm outside grew louder, wilder. The cold seeped into the room, biting at his skin even through his armor. His body shivered despite his will. Then, softly, he felt a touch at his shoulder. He spun instantly, blade flashing, ready to strike. But the alien had not moved to attack. She had only shifted closer, her bound hands trembling as she pressed her side against his. Her body was warm. "Cold kills," she whispered again, voice barely a breath. "I give heat." The soldier's heart hammered. Every instinct screamed to push her away. Yet the warmth spreading into his frozen body betrayed him. He could not deny the truth. She was warm, alive. And in this frozen wasteland, that warmth meant survival. He stayed still, knife ready, every muscle tense, but he did not push her away. Minutes passed. The warmth grew. His shivering slowed. The storm howled outside, but in the broken outpost, two enemies sat pressed together, human and alien, bound by nothing but cold and fragile mercy. The soldier kept telling himself, "She is not my ally. She is not my friend. She is my prisoner." And yet, in the silence of that ruined shelter, he wondered if the real prison was inside his own heart. The storm did not end with the night. Morning came slowly, hidden behind heavy clouds that swallowed the light. Snow still fell, soft but endless, painting the battlefield in white silence. Inside the broken outpost, the soldier opened his eyes. His back ached from sleeping against the wall. His knife was still in his hand, though his grip had loosened during the night. The first thing he felt was warmth. The alien was still pressed against his side, her head resting against his shoulder. Her breath came in soft, uneven waves. Her bound hands rested in her lap, motionless. The soldier stiffened. For a moment he thought he had been tricked, that she might spring upon him. But no, she was still weak, still shivering in her half-broken armor. He pushed her away roughly. She gasped and sat up, blinking her black eyes. "Stay away from me," he growled. She lowered her head. "Yes, human." Her voice was soft, fragile, not the voice of a warrior, not the voice of someone who had destroyed cities. The soldier stood, brushing snow from his shoulders. He moved to the broken wall and looked out. The world was white and silent. No patrols, no ships, only ruins and snow. For the first time, he noticed how quiet the battlefield was. No engines, no gunfire, no screaming, just the cold. His stomach growled. He had not eaten since yesterday. With a sigh, he reached into his pack and pulled out a ration bar. He bit into it, chewing slowly. The alien's eyes followed the movement. "What are you looking at?" he snapped. She looked away quickly. Nothing, but he had seen the hunger in her eyes. He cursed under his breath. She was his prisoner, not his guest. Still, after a long moment, he tore the ration in half and tossed one piece at her feet. "Eat." She blinked, then picked it up with trembling fingers. She sniffed it first as if unsure. Then she bit into it carefully. Her face twisted at the taste, but she kept chewing. "You don't like it?" the soldier asked coldly. She shook her head. "Food. Strange. But life." He almost laughed, though there was no humor in it. "Yeah, that's all it is. Life." They sat in silence again, chewing slowly, the storm whispering outside. After a while, the alien spoke. Her voice was hesitant, as if testing the words. You have name? The soldier frowned. Why do you care? I want... No. He studied her. Her black eyes were steady, not mocking. He gave a short grunt. Call me Kane. Kane. She repeated the word softly, as if tasting it. Then she bowed her head slightly. I am Sira. The name hung in the air between them, strange and yet simple. Kane almost regretted giving his own. Names made things harder. A prisoner was easier, to hate when nameless. But now she was Sira, not just the alien. He shook the thought from his mind. Why did you desert? He asked suddenly. His voice was sharp, testing. Sira flinched. Her lips pressed tight. For a moment he thought she would not answer. But then slowly she whispered, My people, fight always. No choice. Warlord's command. We obey or die. Kane narrowed his eyes. So you ran? Yes, I ran. Her voice cracked. I killed before. Many. But no more. I cannot. I will not. Her hands trembled as she spoke, though they were still bound. Kane felt his chest tighten. He told himself it was a trick, a story to gain his pity, yet her words carried weight. He could see the shame in her eyes, the heaviness in her voice. He turned away. You expect me to believe that? I do not expect, she whispered. I only speak. The silence stretched again. Outside, the storm shifted, the wind wailing through the cracks like ghosts. That night, as darkness returned, Kane kept the fire small. Smoke could attract enemies. Sira sat across from him, her shadow long against the broken wall. After hours of silence, she began to hum. The sound startled him. It was low, soft, and strange, like wind moving through hollow glass. A melody, alien but gentle. Kane frowned. What are you doing? Song, she said quietly. My mother sang before war. He stared at her. You have mothers? She blinked. Yes. You think we do not? He said nothing. For years, humans had painted the aliens as monsters, soulless and cold. But here was one, humming softly about a mother. He hated how it made him feel. Still, he listened. The melody twisted through the air, strange but calming. For the first time in days, Kane felt the weight in his chest ease, just slightly. When she stopped, silence returned heavier than before. You should sleep, Kane muttered. She looked at him with those black eyes full of exhaustion. If I sleep, you kill me? He met her gaze. His knife lay beside him, always within reach. He wanted to say yes. He wanted to keep her afraid, but the words that left his mouth surprised even him. No, not tonight. Sira lowered her head, whispering softly. Then I trust you. The words hit him harder than a bullet. He clenched his fists, angry at himself, angry at her, angry at this strange bond that was forming. He turned away, staring into the dying fire. He told himself he would never trust her. Never. And yet, in the silence of that ruined outpost, he felt the fragile thread between them grow tighter. The fire had long since burned down to glowing embers. Thin smoke curled into the cracks of the ruined outpost, carried away by the restless wind. Kane sat with his back to the wall, knife in his hand, eyes half shut but never fully resting. Across from him, Sira sat quietly, her knees pulled close to her chest. Her black eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, reflecting fire like twin mirrors. She had not spoken for hours. Kane preferred it that way. Silence was safer, but silence had a weight of its own. Finally, Sira's voice broke it. You hate me, she whispered. Kane's eyes snapped open. He did not answer at first. His jaw tightened. You are my enemy, he said flatly. She lowered her gaze. Yes, enemy. But, I ask, do you hate me? Or my kind? The question unsettled him. It was simple, but sharp. He stared at her across the ashes. I hate what your kind has done, he muttered. Cities burning, families gone. My brother. His voice caught. He forced it steady. So yes, I hate you. Sira did not flinch. She nodded slowly as if she expected nothing less. Yet her lips parted again, soft and trembling. My people. Hate too, she said. They teach us from birth. Humans are cruel, humans steal, humans destroy. Kane's hands clenched tighter around the knife. We defended ourselves. Her eyes lifted, and in them Kane saw something raw, something human-like. Pain. They never told us that, she whispered. We only obey, always obey. The words hung heavy in the air. Kane wanted to dismiss them, call them lies. But her trembling hands, her low voice, her downcast eyes, all of it looked real. He leaned forward slightly, eyes narrowing. Why did you leave them? Why desert? Sira closed her eyes, as though the memory itself was poison. When she spoke, her voice was faint. Because I killed a child, Kane froze. She kept her head bowed, her voice low and sharp with guilt. We raided a colony. I followed orders. Break in, burn, kill. But a child, small, no weapon. She looked at me with eyes big and afraid. I should not. Her voice broke. She pressed her bound hands to her face. But I did. My blade struck, and after, I could not breathe, could not sleep. The child's eyes, always there. The outpost fell silent except for the storm outside. Kane's chest tightened. He wanted to hate her, to use this as proof of her cruelty. But the way her voice cracked, the way her shoulders shook, it was not the boast of a soldier. It was confession. He gritted his teeth. So you ran. She nodded weakly. Yes, I ran. My people call me traitor. If they find me, they kill me slow. I cannot go back. Her black eyes lifted to his. And you cannot forgive. So maybe you kill me too. Either way, I die. Kane's knife trembled in his hand. He wanted to say, yes, you deserve death. He wanted to bury the blade in her chest and end the storm inside his head, but he did not move. Because behind her words, he saw something terrifyingly familiar. Regret. He remembered his own battles, the civilians caught in crossfire, the screams that never left his ears. How many innocents had died because of his orders? Because of his rifle? His throat felt dry. You think telling me this will make me spare you? Sira shook her head slowly. No, I tell you because truth is all I have left. The fire popped softly, throwing sparks into the dark. Kane stared at her across the small flames, unsure what he felt. Hatred, pity, anger, confusion. They twisted together inside him. For a long time, neither spoke. Only the wind outside filled the silence, carrying its endless howl across the battlefield. Then Kane heard something else, a faint hum, mechanical, distant. He stiffened instantly, raising his hand for silence. Sira froze, listening. The hum grew, louder, a low, steady pulse cutting through the storm. Patrol, Kane muttered. Sira's eyes widened in fear. They hunt. They always hunt. Kane moved quickly, kicking snow over the dying fire. Darkness swallowed them. He pressed a finger to his lips, his other hand gripping the rifle tight. The hum passed overhead, followed by a sweep of faint red light shining through the cracks in the ruined wall. A scanner. Kane's heart pounded. He pulled Sira close, forcing her flat against the ground. Her breath hitched, her body trembling against his. The light passed slowly across the wall, then moved on. The hum faded into the storm. For several long minutes, neither moved. Kane kept still, waiting, listening. Only when silence returned did he release her. Sira sat up, her chest rising and falling fast. If they find me, they kill you too. Because you keep me alive, Kane scowled. Then we make sure they don't. Her lips trembled. She bowed her head. You are strange, Kane. Human soldier. You should kill me. But you don't. He looked at her sharply. Don't mistake mercy for trust. Her black eyes glimmered in the dark. Still, it is mercy. The storm roared outside, covering the ruins in endless white. Kane tightened his grip on the rifle, his mind heavy with her confession, her fear, her strange honesty. And for the first time he wondered if the real enemy was not the one kneeling in front of him, but the war that had made monsters of them both. The sound of footsteps grew clearer, crunching through the snow outside the broken outpost. Not one set, many, heavy, steady, practiced. Soldiers. Kane pressed his back to the wall, rifle raised, breath sharp and quiet. His heart pounded in rhythm with the storm. Sira froze where she sat, her black eyes wide, glowing faintly in the darkness. She whispered in her broken voice, "They find us. We die." Kane shot her a glare, finger to his lips. Silence. Every sound mattered now. Through the cracks of the ruined wall, he saw them, shadows moving in the storm, tall figures in dark armor. Alien patrol. Their helmets shone with dim red lights scanning the snow. One of them raised a device, sending out another pulse of red across the ruins. The beam of light swept closer. Kane grabbed Sira roughly, pulling her down to the floor. They lay flat against the frozen ground, his arm pressed against her back to keep her still. Her body shook against his, not from cold this time, but from pure fear. The red light crawled across the wall, slid inside through a gap, painted the floor inches from them. Kane held his breath. The beam passed. The hum of the scanner faded. The patrol's footsteps shifted, slower now. Searching. Kane's mind raced. If they stayed, they'd be found. If they ran, the tracks in the snow would give them away. There was no safe choice, Sira whispered again, her voice so faint it was almost part of the wind. There is tunnel, under ruins, storage, I saw before. Kane turned his head sharply. Where? She nodded toward the back of the outpost. Hidden. Broken door. He hesitated. Could he trust her? If she lied, they'd walk into a trap. But staying here meant certain death. Kane cursed under his breath. He grabbed her bound wrists and pulled her toward the back wall. Quiet, fast. The footsteps outside drew closer. Voices now, low, harsh, speaking in her alien tongue. Kane couldn't understand the words, but the tone was clear. Orders. They reached the back wall. Sira dropped to her knees, brushing away snow and rubble with trembling hands. Beneath the debris, a hatch appeared, old and rusted. She pulled, but her strength failed. Kane shoved her aside and heaved the metal ring. The hatch groaned, frozen, in place. He pulled harder. It creaked open, the sound like a scream in the silence. The footsteps outside stopped. Kane's blood turned cold. They had heard. He yanked the hatch fully open, shoved Sira down into the dark, then followed, slamming it closed above them. The tunnel was narrow, damp, the air heavy with rot and rust. Kane held his rifle tight, moving forward with Sira stumbling. Ahead of him, above them, muffled voices shouted. Boots thudded against the floor of the outpost. The patrol had entered. Move, Kane hissed. They ran. Their footsteps echoed in the narrow space, splashing through puddles. The tunnel twisted, walls cracked with age. Rusted pipes dripped water. Behind them, the hatch exploded open. Boots clanged against the metal ladder. They had been found. The tunnel shook with noise. Alien soldiers dropping into the darkness, their armor scraping against stone. Sira stumbled, almost falling. Kane grabbed her arm, yanking her forward. Run! The tunnel split ahead, 2 paths. Which way? Kane barked. Sierra gasped, chest heaving. Left. Leads out. Are you sure? Yes. He didn't think. He pulled her left. The tunnel grew tighter, darker. Ahead, faint light leaked through cracks in the stone. Fresh air. An exit. Behind them, footsteps pounded closer. A red glow spread along the walls as scanners lit the darkness. Kane turned, raised his rifle, and fired. The tunnel shook with the sharp blast. One alien dropped, another ducked back. Shouts echoed. Go! Kane shoved Sierra ahead. She stumbled. Toward the faint light, her hands still bound, her breath ragged. Kane fired again, sparks bouncing off the tunnel walls. The patrol returned fire. Beams of red energy slicing past him, burning holes in the stone. The exit was close now. Kane could see it. A crack in the wall where snow and daylight poured in. Sierra reached it first, pressing her shoulder against the narrow gap. It was tight, too small for her armor. She struggled, panic rising. Kane fired again, then slung the rifle and shoved her through, his hands gripping her waist. With a scream of effort, she slipped free, falling into the snow outside. Kane dove after her, the cold air hitting him like knives. He rolled onto the frozen ground just as a beam of red scorched the stone behind him. The two of them scrambled, up, running into the storm. Snow blinded their eyes, the wind stealing their breath. Behind them, the patrol spilled from the tunnel, shouting, firing. Energy bolts sizzled through the air, missing by inches. Kane pulled Sierra down behind a ridge, of ice pressing her flat against the snow. His heart thundered in his chest. The patrol searched, red lights sweeping across the storm. They were hunting, moving closer. Kane's rifle was almost empty. Sierra was weak, still bound. Survival felt like a thin thread about to snap. She turned to him, her face pale, her voice trembling but firm. If they catch me, kill me. Do not let them take me alive. Kane stared at her, stunned by the raw truth in her eyes. He clenched his rifle, snow stinging his face, and whispered back, Not yet. The patrol's lights cut through the storm, closer and closer. Kane and Sierra pressed deeper into the snow, hunted shadows in a frozen world, waiting for a chance that might never come. The green flare burned across the sky like a wound, its eerie glow fighting against the snowstorm. Kane stared upward, his breath caught in his throat. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien. It was something else. Sierra's black eyes reflected the light, wide with fear. Not them, she whispered. Not your people. Not mine. The patrol had stopped firing. Their voices carried through the storm, sharp and urgent. They too had seen the flare. For a moment, everyone, hunters and hunted, was distracted by the unknown fire above. Kane's instinct screamed at him. Run while they're confused. Move. He grabbed Sierra's arm and pulled her to her feet. Come on. They stumbled through the snow, half blind in the storm. Energy blasts fired again, behind them. The patrol had resumed the hunt. Kane ducked behind a jagged rock formation, pulling Sierra down beside him. His rifle clicked empty, out of ammo. He tossed it aside, his hand going to the knife strapped to his chest. A blade against rifles. Suicide. Sierra crouched low, her breath ragged, her lips trembling. Leave me. Alone you survive. With me, you die. Kane glared at her. Shut up. Her eyes glistened, snow clinging to her lashes. You cannot carry both. Choice, Kane. Me or you. The words cut deep. He had thought it himself a dozen times already. She was slowing him down. A burden. A danger. And yet, her song still echoed in his ears. Her confession. Her warmth in the night. The patrol's lights swept across the snow, closer now. Shadows of armored figures appeared through the storm. Sierra straightened suddenly, her hands still bound. She turned to him with a strange calm on her face. I go, they take me. You hide. You live. Before he could stop her, she tried to stand, to walk into the storm. Kane grabbed her arm and yanked her back down hard. Are you insane? Her voice rose, desperate. Better I die than you. Better. Stop, Kane hissed. His grip tightened, his eyes fierce. I'm not letting you throw yourself away. The storm swallowed their voices. The patrol's beams of light grew sharper. Kane's mind was a battlefield of its own. He could run now. Leave her. Hide in the snow and maybe, just maybe, live another day. That was the smart choice, the soldier's choice. But his heart refused. He remembered her falling to her knees in the snow, begging him not to kill her. He remembered the warmth of her body keeping him alive through the night. He remembered the way her voice cracked when she spoke of the child she killed and the way she looked at him with eyes that held nothing but regret. She was not just the enemy anymore. She was Sira. The patrol was almost on them. Kane looked at his knife, then at her. You want the truth? He growled. If I leave you, I'll hate myself more than I hate them. Her breath caught. Kane. Get ready, he muttered. She frowned, confused. But I am bound. With one quick slash, Kane cut the cloth around her wrists. Her hands sprang free, raw and bruised, her black eyes widened in shock. You trust me? I don't know, Kane admitted. His voice was low, tight. But I'm out of choices. The patrol came into view, their armor glowing red against the storm. They spotted movement. A shout went up. Energy rifles lifted. Kane stood, knife in hand, fury burning in his chest. You said you wanted freedom, he said through clenched teeth. Prove it. Fight with me. For a heartbeat, Sira stared at him, frozen between fear and resolve. Then her face hardened. She reached down, pulling a jagged shard of metal from the snow, a broken piece of her own armor. The first soldier charged, weapon raised. Kane met him with a roar, slamming his knife into the joint of the alien's armor. Sparks flew. The enemy crumpled. Another came from the side. A red beam cut through the air. Sira lunged, striking the soldier's helmet with the shard of metal. The blow cracked the visor. The soldier staggered back. Kane spun, driving his knife into another. He felt fire scorch his shoulder as a blast grazed him, but he pushed through. The pain. The two of them fought side by side, ragged, desperate, but alive. The storm roared around them, swallowing shouts, swallowing light. At last, the patrol faltered. One soldier barked an order, retreating into the snow. The others followed, dragging their wounded. Their red lights faded into the storm. Silence fell again. Kane stood trembling, blood on his hands, his chest heaving. Beside him, Sira dropped the shard, her breath coming in harsh gasps. They looked at each other. She whispered, voice broken. You should have left me. Kane shook his head. Maybe, but I didn't. Her black eyes glistened. For a moment, no storm, no war, no patrol existed. Only two enemies standing together, both alive because of each other. But before either could speak again, the green flare in the sky pulsed once more, brighter, closer. The storm seemed to shiver. With its light, Kane's gut twisted. Whatever that was, it wasn't finished. The ground trembled beneath their boots. Snow slid from broken rocks as the earth itself groaned. Kane's hand tightened around his knife. He had felt battleships land before, but this was different. The sound was deeper, older, like something crawling up from the heart of the planet. Beside him, Sira's face was pale, her black eyes fixed on the horizon. Not ours, she whispered. Not yours. Something else. Through the wall of snow, a shadow emerged, massive, towering, alive. It moved like a beast, but its shape was wrong, shifting, bending. Limbs unfolded and folded again as though the creature had no fixed form. Green light pulsed across its body, echoing the flare that had torn the sky minutes ago. Kane's chest tightened. He had fought monsters before, but nothing like this. This was no soldier, no machine. This was something ancient. The storm howled, carrying the creature's cry, a low rumble that made his bones vibrate. Sira dropped to her knees, her breath sharp and fast. It should not be here, it is exile. My people spoke of it in fear. A beast and banished to dead worlds. If it wakes, everything dies. Kane grabbed her arm, forcing her up. Then we don't let it wake. Her eyes widened, searching his. You cannot fight it. Maybe not, he said grimly. But I can try. The creature's green glow grew brighter, spilling across the snow. Its many eyes, if they were eyes, opened, glowing like embers. Kane felt its gaze crawl over him, heavy and ancient, as if it was studying not his body but his soul. He raised his knife out of reflex, a ridiculous gesture against such a thing, but his hand did not lower. Sira stepped in front of him suddenly, her arms outstretched. No. You cannot face it with steel. It does not fear steel. Then what does it fear? Kane demanded. Her lips trembled. Memory. Pain. It feeds on fear and blood, but if it sees strength, it recoils. Kane's eyes narrowed. And how do you know that? Her gaze dropped. Because my people made it. The words struck him like a blade. You what? Her voice cracked. Long ago, before war with humans, before war with anyone, my ancestors built it. A weapon, living machine. But it turned on us. Too strong, too hungry, so they cast it away into frozen worlds. Worlds like this. Kane's throat felt dry. He stared at the shifting beast, green light glowing brighter with every movement. And now it's awake, he said flatly. Sira's hands shook. Yes, and it will not stop until nothing remains. For a long moment, they stood in the storm, the monster growing, the world trembling. Kane felt the weight of choice pressing down again. Leave her. Run alone. Maybe hide. Maybe survive a little longer. Or stand with her. Fight something no human, no alien should face. He thought of his brother's face, the war that had stolen everything from him. He thought of Sira's trembling song, her broken confession, her black eyes full of regret. If this was the end, he refused to face it alone. He turned to her. Then we stop it. Together. Her lips parted in shock. For a moment she looked at him as if he were mad. But then, slowly, she nodded. Together. The creature shifted, a massive limb slamming into the snow, shaking the earth. Its glow washed over them, bathing their bodies in sickly green. Kane gripped his knife tighter, though he knew it was useless. Sira raised her shard of broken armor, her body tense. The beast let out another cry, low and endless, filling the storm. And then, it stopped. The green glow dimmed. Its form wavered. For a heartbeat, Kane swore the monster hesitated. Not in confusion, but in recognition. It had seen them, and it did not move closer. Sira's voice shook. It feels us. Our bond, not prey, not yet. Kane kept his stance, though his arms trembled. Then what now? The beast's many eyes flickered. Once, twice. Then it turned, its form folding in on itself like shadows dissolving. In moments it was gone, swallowed by the storm, leaving only silence behind. The earth stilled. The wind howled again, as if nothing had happened. Kane's breath came out in a heavy rush. He dropped to one knee, exhausted. Sira sank beside him, clutching her chest. Her voice was barely a whisper. It will return, stronger. Next time, it will not walk away. Kane looked at her. Snow clung to her hair, her face pale with fear. Yet she was still alive, still beside him. He reached out, steadying her with a hand. Then we'll be ready. Her black eyes lifted to him, shining with something he had not seen before. Hope. Fragile, but real. For the first time since the war began, Kane felt it too. The storm raged around them, but in the ruin of ice and death, two enemies stood side by side, not just surviving, but choosing to fight. The war was not over. The monster was not gone. But something had changed. Sira lowered herself to her knees again, her voice soft but steady. Don't kill me, human. Stay with me. Kane looked down at her, his knife heavy in his hand. His answer would change everything. And as the storm swallowed their figures, the story closed on a choice not yet made, one that would decide not only their lives, but the fate of worlds.